What if she has no clue about rock and roll?
Hi, everyone. Another first listen today. The artist is Joan Jett, and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, actually, is what I see on the screen here. The song is I Love Rock and Roll. Well, sounds like quite a rock and roll musician's fan piece. Well, let's see how it goes. I have a couple things to read here first, and then we'll listen. Joan Jett is an American musician, singer, songwriter, record producer, and actress. Well, she wears a lot of hats. Often referred to as the godmother of punk and the queen of rock and roll, she is regarded as a rock icon and an influential figure in popular rock music. I have to say that I have heard many of you mention this name, Joan Jett, on the channel, so finally getting around to it. With the Blackhearts, Jett has released 12 albums, 3 of which have been certified platinum or gold. Additionally, 11 of their singles have appeared on the Billboard Hot 100. Well, probably good reason you've been encouraging me to give her a listen. Jett was included on Rolling Stone's 2003 and 2023 lists of the greatest guitarists of all time. In 2015, she and the Blackhearts were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I Love Rock and Roll is a rock song written by Alan Merrill and Jake Hooker and first recorded by the Arrows, a British rock band, in 1975. A 1981 cover version by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, released as the first single from her album of the same name, became Jett's highest charting hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming the number 3 song for 1982. So this is actually a cover. And it's not the first time I've listened to a cover by some artist or other in which it was a big hit and one of their biggest hits. And I find that interesting that some of the most outstanding and popular artistic musical performances are not necessarily somebody's own creation, not even just their own creation, but even the first time it has been recorded or performed. And it's interesting because as I have continued on this journey and gotten the feeling that a lot of rock and roll is created by the band, by the artist, by the performer, for themselves to perform. Whereas in classical music, we have a bit of that, but it's much more heavily weighted towards having pre-composed music and music that has been performed and presented many, many times prior. And so I'm always interested when I see kind of the balance of what appeals and what becomes really outstanding and recognized. And I think that this is a great example of sometimes a piece of music is, and we see this even in classical music, is not best presented by the composer, by the creator. They're able to present it, it's their expression, but somehow somebody else is able to come in and give it a whole new dimension, even a whole new lease on life. And it becomes so much more than what the creator perhaps even thought possible. And so that's just an interesting thing that I notice from time to time in this project. And here's another example of it where Joan Jett not only made this piece come alive to so many, but in return, it did so much for her in making her and the band, the Blackhearts, really popular or among the top numbers. The single was certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, representing 2 million units shipped to stores. Jett's version was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2016. So this is another one where I don't know if I will on camera, but I'm sure that once I've listened to this, I will be listening to the original Alan Merrill, Jake Hooker version and compare them and just notice how one is different from the other, and understand a bit more of the way in which this came to be developed to this point. But today it is Joan Jett and the Blackhearts with I Love Rock and Roll.
By the record machine, I knew he must have been about 17. He was running strong, playing my favorite song, and I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah me. And I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah me, singing I love rock and roll, spending all the time in the jukebox, baby. Got up and asked for his name. That don't matter, he said, 'cause it's all the same. I said, can I take you home where we can be alone? And next we were moving on, he was with me, yeah me. Next we were moving on, he was with me, yeah me. Singing I love rock and roll, spending all the time in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll, so take time and dance with me.
You know, I get the feeling that there must have been quite a few teenage couples who perhaps had this as the starting point of their relationship, you know, the love of music, and the love of music that was popular at the time. I love rock and roll. You see somebody dancing to music and just going crazy over the music that you love? Isn't that appealing? You think, he's the one for me, or she's the one for me, right? So this is such a raw...
What if she has no clue about rock and roll?
Well, it can be any genre of music. The idea is that it's a shared passion. It doesn't even have to be musical, right? But a shared passion, a shared love of something. But from my perspective, if it's music, it's extra compelling, isn't it? I like the way this comes. It has such a... She gives it such a raw, but not just raw. It's like it's coming from her core. When she sings, here, I love rock and roll. Well, it's a chorus, isn't it? I don't know if it's how many voices singing in unison, but it has a sort of throaty, just pouring out from the inside. I love rock and roll. You know, the whole youthful enthusiasm and eagerness and passion and just complete freedom. I don't care what anybody else in the world thinks, but I love rock and roll. And you just hear it. You just hear it not oozing, but gushing out of this song. And it is so, I don't even know if enthusiastic is the word. It is just spontaneous and committed. Well, as I said, the title sounded like a fan of rock and roll, you know, really. And clearly this is more than a fan. This is a dedicated disciple of rock and roll. I love rock and roll. It's as if this song is taking the iconic fingerprints of rock and roll and digging into them and kind of putting them under a microscope or magnifying glass and just projecting them on the big screen in oversized form, even this little hint of guitar solo-ish thing, it digs into the meaty, gritty, raw sound just for the sake of saying, this is my identity, this is what I'm crazy about, this is what I love. And so while the lyrics are saying, I love rock and roll, it's as if the music is saying, these are the things that I love about rock and roll. This is what makes me love rock and roll. You hear?
Singing, I love rock and roll, so put another dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll, so come and take your time and dance with me. I love rock and roll.
And this is where everybody has to start singing along.
I love rock and roll, so come and take your time
And you just lose yourself in it.
rock and roll, so put another dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll, so come and take your time and dance with me.
Any questions? Well, of course, I can't help but think of something like We Will Rock You, which has a similar sort of rhythmic ostinato and really simple, repetitive musical driving design. This one is not quite so powerful in the sense that I feel like We Will Rock You is more for a large crowd. I feel like I Love Rock and Roll is for a room full of teenagers, not necessarily a massive stadium full of people where the current is like floodwaters just rushing down and taking everything in its path. This is a little bit smaller scale, but still incredibly participatory. This refrain at the end, over and over and over. I love rock and roll. Of course it's there to get everybody singing along. And I can just see a room full of teenagers, whether it's in somebody's garage or in a school gym or just a couple kids who are in love with each other because they both love rock and roll, whatever it is. It so well portrays the image of 16, 17, 18, right in that age range, crazy about the music you love, therefore crazy about each other. And the simplicity of it is crucial to its design because it is that allows every element to be written in broad strokes, in dark ink, really exaggerate each feature. As I said, the guitar solo, or even the rhythmic ostinato, or the guitar riff, whatever it is so elemental. And that is one of the things that makes it say what it does. I love rock and roll, and this is what makes rock and roll. In that context, the piece is, I could even say, perfect, because what else would you want to do to it? It's perfect. So that's my first exposure to Joan Jett. I love rock and roll. I'm a bit curious. Is this the style of all her music? I'm sure because she's such a significant name, I will be checking back into more of her output in the future. Keep your eyes and ears open for that, and I'll see you soon.